You know what I'm saying? And the elite are manufacturing a conflict where people are going to be fighting amongst one another, and we've been seeing this play out all throughout 2020 heavy, man, and it's going into 2021. It's going to continue and intensify. Go ahead.
2 Peter 6 verse 24, and it reads, "At the time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run."
Was you about to say something?
You got it.
Right. It said at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, man. And that was the main point, because with these with these protests, these insurrections, them claiming the pro-Trump people claiming fraud and all that. Like I said, people's emotions are being stirred up, and eventually these devils, man, they didn't put forth, they didn't protested. The truckers done done a strike. Trump, he tried to do lawsuits to try to overturn what he called fraud in the elections, all of this kind of shit, man. And it's funny too, man, because they done shut down this motherfucker's Twitter accounts, his Facebook account, his Instagram accounts. You know what I'm saying? They pretty much shutting his voice completely out of the picture. You know what I'm saying? And all of those people that support him are again being stirred up by that. And eventually people gonna grab their guns, man. They gonna beat them plowshares and the swords, man, and then people gonna be going at each other in the days to come. You know what I'm saying? And we very near to those days. What I had you holding?
Isaiah 19 verse 2.
Go ahead and bring that out.
This is Isaiah chapter 19 verse 2. And it reads, and I will set them, or no, it says, and I will set the Egyptians, it says, and I will set the Egyptians,
No prescriptions.
against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother,
Right.
and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom.
Right. These are those clashes, man, that we're about to see intensify, man, in the coming days. When you talk about the Egyptians against the Egyptians, man, we understand that we were brought to Egypt again on ships, man. We didn't go to Egypt in Africa on ships, man. We came into Egypt, which goes back to the word bondage. Okay, we came into bondage on ships, which was here in America. Now, we understand that the scriptures, they talk about America or Babylon as spiritually Sodom and Egypt. You know what I'm saying? So in that scripture, when it's talking about Egyptian versus Egyptians, it's talking about these fucking Americans, man. So when you see these, protests in the street, you got Antifa, you got Black Lives Matter, you got, fucking pro-Trump people, and you got these different militias, and you got these white supremacists. You got all of these different factions that got, they're in direct opposition to one another. They gonna clash, man, because they all feel that they're being done wrong, or they something happened to them where they have to voice and express, they have to express their frustrations, in their situation here in Babylon, man. So all of these people are going to be fighting each other. They're going to be killing each other. These people, if you go to Second Edges and talk about how people are going to invade one another, you know what I'm saying, for the lack of bread, we can bring that out. So all of these things are going to unfold in these days and times, because all of these events are end-time biblical prophecies, and we're right at that hour where it's time for these things to take place.
Hey, do me a favor. Grab me Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 real quick. Baba Shah. Because I want to go into account in Maccabees to show you this is the same shit happening now, bro.
Give me a grasp on.
Just Ecclesiastes.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. It says, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun.
So peep this. First Maccabees 1 and First Maccabees 3 and 27. Now it says now when King Antiochus heard these things, he was full of indignation. Therefore he sent and gathered together all the forces of his realm, even a very strong army. He opened also his treasury and gave his soldiers pay for a year, commanding them to be ready whensoever he should need them. Nevertheless, when he saw the money of his treasury failed, and that the tributes of the country were small, because of dissension and plague which he had brought upon the land, and taken away the laws which had been of old time, right? Current laws that people got so accustomed to, Second Amendment right, freedom of speech, all that shit is dwindling and down, right?
Yep.
And there's a dissension and plague in the land just like now, right? Verse 30, for he feared, it says, he feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before, for he had abounded above the kings that were before him. So this current kingdom has abounded above the kings before him. The greatest debt, the money spent, taxes have been getting paid out early to everybody without anything coming in. They've frozen student loan repayments for the last 8-9 months. The treasury looking empty, and now they're printing over and over again. So what do you think? This is account. The brother just read it. Go ahead, bro.
I'd say those all tax and shit, right? The motherfuckers that had a lot of money that supposed to pay a lot of taxes, they offshore all their shit, so they don't have to pay that much, bro. So basically, this place being paid by the lowest and low, man. Being paid by us.
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers are rich elites, those celebrities like that, they don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Real quick, Salakia, if you think about that, man, and I said this at work to somebody, man. What was his fucking name? This dude, Jose, right?
Brother getting
he
deep at work, huh?
He owns his own business and shit. Well, we got into some worldly shit, but he owns his own business. And I told him, I said, well, look at the situation, man. Because of the COVID-19 and other things. I said, even before the COVID, they were still having economic issues. Now, if you think about the situation, I said, what people in the world that puts money back into the economy? And he said, well, the working class. You could call them the working class, but poor people regardless, right? Because now they only have what? They only have rich and poor. So the poor people is what put money back into the economy. Why? Because they're constantly buying shit, from cars to TVs to clothes to shoes. Well, what does the rich do? They buy a few cars, they buy a goddamn house, or what do? If they see some effects like what Biden is talking about is putting more taxes upon the rich, what they'll do, they'll throw their money overseas, man.
Yep.
Right? So if they're throwing their money overseas, or they keeping their money into banks, then that money is not being fucking spent.
Yep.
So if that money is not being spent, then what money is the rich putting back into the economy, man?
Not a damn thing.
Right? So what is banks doing?
Yep.
Because banks is what holds some of the rich money. So they have to put that money back into what he called the working class or the poor class in order to spend that money, man. But that money's not going nowhere.
Yep.
Because now, since the situations that they're in now, when people get paid a paycheck, what they doing now? They're saving money, man. They're putting money away. So if they're saving money and they're not putting money back into the economy, then that causes what? That causes the deflation.
Yep.
Because there's no money that's put into products and shit like that. Yep. Now they got an overstock of products, shit that's not being bought. So these businesses are scratching their heads like, what the fuck we're gonna do?
Yep.
Well, the economy need to push. They're saying what? The government needs to push money to the people so the people can start spending. Yeah. But that money that's been pushed into the people are putting that shit in their bank accounts. Because they're scared, man.
Now peep this. 1 Maccabees 3:30, it says, he feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before, for he had abounded above the kings that were before him. The debt is the greatest it's ever been. Presidents are making more debt than they've ever made. It says,
when they came up with the whole credit thing, they knew what they was doing to people, man.
Yep.
They knew they was putting.
It was fucking up people hard, bro.
When they took gold and silver from bagging the data, they knew exactly what the fuck they was doing, man.
Yeah.
Because they knew people had control over the government when the people had gold and silver. When you have gold and silver is not going to the government, then what kind of power do the government have if the people have the gold and silver?
Yep.
Well, you know what? Let's create the Federal Reserve notes. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna substitute gold and silver for the Federal Reserve notes, but we're gonna take all the gold and silver for ourselves.
Yep.
They fucked up, man.
So it's verse 31. It says, wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries and to gather much money. So what is happening now? War's being prepared. The same shit. So when the money failed, and when the Roman Empire in the Book of Maccabees, what did they do? They planned to go into Persia, which is Iran, and try to take the goods that were there, which is now oil, commodities, trade routes. This is the same shit that's happening now.
And one of the main reasons why the Roman Empire fell, because why? There was a lot of domestic shit going on within Rome, man. People was rising up against the government. People was doing what, man? They was getting mad because they wasn't getting money. They wasn't getting what they wanted. So when they rose up against them, that left a door open for their asses to go to war with those Germanic motherfuckers.
And it was a dissension. They said in the 29th verse, a dissension and a plague. Just like now, bro.
Wow. Look at that. Just like the brother brought out in Ecclesiastes, nothing new under the sun, man. You know, all of these things are, all of these things have transpired before in history, man. They just being played back again. You know what I'm saying? And there's a scripture that says that declaring the end from the beginning. You see what I'm saying? So we already know how this story ends, you know, and we're seeing the same formula that caused other kingdoms to fail being played out, you know, today before our eyes, man. So that's why we know that we're living into the time of the downfall of America. We're living into the time of the end of Esau, Edom's rule. Somebody grab me that second, that is 6 and 9 real quick, because the scriptures tell us that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. Man, bring that out real quick.
Second Ezra 6 and 9, and it reads, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
Right, so the reason why we hasten the day is because who's in power now, man? Job 9 and 24 tell us that the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. We see who's ruling. We see who's dictating policy. We see who's, the real power players on this planet Earth right now, man. It's none other than the so-called white man. Only time they don't want to claim that they're in power, because we know how much pride these devils got. The only time they don't want to claim their power is when we tie it back to the scriptures. That's when you had these white folks that, we're not Esau, that's why vocab Malone, we're not Esau. But when you put prophecy with it, you know, that Esau, Edom will be in power, that they'll control the earth, you know what I'm saying, that they'd rule with their sword, man. They'll be the hammer of the earth, that they'll, heap to themselves all nations of all people, man. Been in other nations' business, according to Habakkuk 2.
Right, because the scriptures tell you about the wickedness that's going to take place upon the earth. So who's implementing the wickedness on the earth that the scriptures talk about? Esau, man, the so-called white man. His face is on every fucking thing. That's why the scripture says in Revelations 11 and 18, destroyeth him that destroyeth the earth, man.
Right. Even you see, what did Sir Evelyn Rothschild say? I care not who makes the laws. Give me control of the nation's money. You know what I'm saying? And I care not who makes the laws, because they know that money is gonna ultimately, with that money and bribery, they'll be able to put someone in a position to dictate law. They can pay somebody out to implement the law that they want to implement. So you got these devils faces on the money. You know what I'm saying? America, the greenback, the American dollar is the reserve currency that this whole world operates under, and you got whose face on the face of them fucking dollar bills. So that's an easy indication of who's controlling this goddamn world, man. You know what I'm saying? They exalt themselves every opportunity they get. That's why they got all these landmarks all over America. You know what I'm saying? All these, trying to, make themselves up as icons and gods and shit, man. You know what I'm saying? So Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. Our world is to come next, man. Like the brother had brought out that scripture earlier. Our world is coming when Esau falls. And Esau is in rulership now, and we got the dissension. You know what I'm saying? We got the debt. You know, we got the, you know, insurrections and the seditions. We got all of these things playing out to indicate to us that these devils is about to fall, man. You had something? Brother,
Bro, I got a couple things I want to go into. Let me get 1 Peter 4:7, man. And let me get the book of Ezekiel 7:3. Right, because like the brother is talking about, man, you can see that we're at the end, man. That's obvious to see. All these things that's taking place in the world, the scriptures talk about. So we're in a heavy time of prophecy. Let me get to Jeremiah 28:8. We're in a heavy time of prophecy, man. You know, there are so many things that's taking place from this vaccination, from these nations preparing for war, and that's all you're hearing. And the scriptures talk about it in the book of Matthew 24:6. Let me get that actually. Let me get Matthew 24:6, man.
I'll get that one.
Let me get that Jeremiah 28:8.
Off in the book of Jeremiah 28:8.
Right.
It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old
Right.
prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence.
Right, and this is the things that the Spirit have been put upon us to talk about, man. Brothers talking about the vaccination, the 2 new variants that's coming up, the how they want to quarantine you people, how they want to keep you people in the homes, how they want you to social distance so you can get used to being away from other people. Right? Let me get that back up.
Jeremiah 28:8.
Uh-huh.
Says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence.
Right, man, and that's what's being prophesied about. Because there's so many things that's taking place and showing you that we are at the end of a wicked society, man, that we are at the end of America, that we're at the end of Babylon. Let me get that 1 Peter 4:7.
1 Peter 4:7, right? And it reads, but the end of all things is at hand.
Right, so the end of all things are at hand, man. Right, and these are the things that the scriptures is talking about. Right, these are the things that the scriptures is talking about. These are the things that the Most High have put the Spirit in us to talk about, man. That the end of all things are at hand, because we are at the end of Esau world, man. Right? Let me get that Ezekiel 7:4.
This is the book
And
of.
let me get 2nd Ezra chapter 7 verse 43.
This is the book of Ezekiel 7:4. It says, "And mine eyes shall not spare thee,
Right?
neither will I have pity.
Right?
But I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abominations shall be in the midst of thee."
Right, and the scriptures tell you in Revelation the 17th chapter that this place is filled with abominations. Matter of fact, let me get that out. Let me get Revelation 17.
Revelation.
Yes, Revelation 17 and start to the point, man. I think that's verse 5 or 6 where it calls this place an abomination.
Yeah. Revelation 17:5.
Right?
Says, and upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great.
Right, it's a mystery because a lot of you people won't understand that America is Babylon. You got a lot of these different religions that come up against America being Babylon. You got people that saying that America is blessed. But America is blessed, and why is all these events taking place? Right? Why you got fires in California? Why you got sinkholes popping up? Why you got people catching this whole COVID-19 from the COVID-21? Why you got people dying left and right? Why you got all these things taking place if this place is so prosperous? If this place is so blessed? Because that's what blessed means, to be prosperous. Go ahead, Al.
It says, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth.
Right, so this place is an abomination of the earth, man, because it allows wickedness to take place on the earth, from homosexuals to transgenders to lesbians to bisexuals, you know, to all sorts of things, man, from people eating the foul foods that the scriptures obviously tell you not to eat, right? So this place is an abomination. You know, people just celebrated, New Year's, Christmas, all sorts of madness that's not in the scriptures. The Most High is totally against those things, man. So again, like the scriptures tell you in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7, for we are at the end of all things, man. Go ahead, back with that, Ezekiel.
Back in the book of Ezekiel 7 and 4, it says, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee,
Right.
and thine abomination shall be in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Right. Hey, the Lord is going to be recognized, and he's being recognized right now by having his prophets out here prophesying against his kingdom, man. Go ahead, Ak.
It says, thus saith the Lord power, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come.
Now, when you go into that word evil, it can go into bad times, it can go into wickedness, it can go into many things. So if evil is going to come, it's talking about the bad times to come. Let me get Second Timothy's 3 and 1, Ak. Let me get 2 Timothy's 3 and 1.
You want that 2 Ezra 7 and 43?
Now, hold that, Ak.
In 2 Timothy 3 and verse 21.
Right? No, 2 Timothy 3 and 1.
3 and 1. And 3 and 1 it reads, this now also that in the last days,
Right, and we're in the last days because the scriptures speak about the things that's going to take place, knowing that we are in the last days. Matter of fact, who's holding me that Matthew 24 and 6?
That's
I got it.
Go ahead.
Matthew 24 and 6, it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
Right,
See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass.
right, and like we mentioned earlier, did not China just told their armies to prepare for war? Before that, did not North Korea, did not Iran threaten to shoot nuclear missiles at America, which they will cause weapons of mass destruction.
Yep.
Now, if you have weapons of mass destruction, what would they do? America would set different things in order to go invade that country and destroy those weapons of mass destruction. But why haven't they did that? Because Iran and them are allies. That damn dog distracted me, man. Iran and them are allies with Russia, man. So if you deal with them, you got to deal with Russia. You deal with Russia, you got to deal with China, man. So there's a lot of things that's going to take place to show you all these events that's going to take place. Go ahead, Art. With that, Matthews, finish that off.
God.
It says,
Art, man, you get
So like
that dog
you.
later, brother.
Salakia. It says, and ye shall have wars and rumors of wars, see that ye be not troubled.
Right.
For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
Right, so the end is not yet because there's many things that got to take place. Like the brother was talking about sedition among men, closing down of the cities, you know, people being quarantined. The scriptures speak about all these things. Go ahead, I'll finish that off.
Back in Ezekiel.
Yeah, back in that Ezekiel.
God. Back in the book of Ezekiel 7. And it reads,
Actually, hold that. Finish that off.
it is 2 Timothy 3 and 1 it reads, this now also
Right.
that in the last days perilous times shall come.
Right, so the scripture says perilous times shall come. When you go into that word perilous, it means dangerous or troubled times. Now, are you not in dangerous and troubled times, man? You know, these people are mourning, man. These people are rioting. These people are going up against their senates. They're going up against their governors. They're going up against their mayors. You know, they're setting fires. They're breaking windows. These people are going insane, man. You know, Egypt is coming up against Egypt. The scripture says if Satan is against Satan, how shall his kingdom stand? So we can see all these things taking place. We can see that the enemy is against themselves, man. Go ahead, all right?
Verse 2, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents,
Right.
unthankful, unholy, without natural affection,
Right.
truce breakers, false accusers, and
Incontinent.
incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good.
Right? So this is what's happening, right? And who's a despiser of those that are good? Esau despised those that are good. He's despising those that are set up to teach this word because this word is coming up against him, man. This word is a sword and he is the meat, right? This word is a sword and he's the meat that's getting slashed and diced up. Go ahead with your precept.
This is Proverbs
You can start
30.
that out.
I started at 11. It says, there's a generation that curseth their father
Right.
and doth not bless their mother. There is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness.
Right, man. So they're not washed from their filthiness. That's going into Israel, but that could also go into the enemy himself, which is Esau, Edom. Right? Go ahead with that, Art.
back in Ezekiel 7 at verse 6,
Mm-hmm.
it says, an end is come, the end is come.
Right.
It watcheth for thee.
You get 2nd Ezra 15 now.
Says, behold, it is come.
Right.
The morning is come unto thee, O thou that dwellest in the land.
Right. So hey, the end has come to those that are dwelling in the land. Right. And you can see these things take place. You know, these devils, they're gonna push you people into quarantine, man. And quarantine could last for a minute. Quarantine could last for months. It can last for years. So you could be stuck in your goddamn house waiting for them to bring you food. You know, waiting and hoping that they keep the internet on, man, so you can see what's going on in the streets. Because they're more likely still have CNN, ABC, news, and all that nonsense out there. So you could see and be updated on the chaos that'll be taking place in the cities. Because what they're gonna do, they're gonna have military soldiers through here, man. Right? They're gonna have convoys, tanks, and all type of shit through the streets, waiting to see if you people will try to break out of that quarantine, because eventually your ass is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
You can't be in a house all day, every fucking day, man.
Right.
Right? You'll eventually go insane. You'll be in a goddamn prison, man. Right? It's like them putting you in damn fucking solitary, man. Go ahead, Doc.
Hey, can I make a quick comment? Because there was an article that came out, man, on RT where they was talking about COVID camps. And now there's this in New York, they're trying to pass this bill. They proposed it, but it hasn't passed, where they want to be able to lawfully throw people into quarantine camps, man, like the brother was bringing out. And he just made a comment that said, you don't know how long you're going to be in there, because they said in that bill that they want to be able to put you in these COVID camps, in these prisons for at least 60 days before you even get to see a judge. You know what I'm saying? And then at that point, then they can, the detention can be indefinite. You see what I'm saying? So that kind of supports what the brother was saying.
Right, they said there's little over 200 bills that have not been passed yet.
Yeah.
So you just waiting for these bills to be passed, and then they could push the police on you, and they could militarize the police like they have been doing for the past 10, 20 years, man.
Which that's what they're doing with this whole insurrection shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they keep using it in the media, insurrection. You go into their insurrection bill of I think it's 1807 or something like that. The Insurrection Act, it tells you that under normal circumstances you can't use military force to force civil law. But under the Insurrection Act, you can use military force as the policing, man. So that's a whole different ball game, man. So shit is moving along. And in Australia, they're already doing the concentration camps for people with the Rona, man. They're already doing it because they're also using they're also people who get caught violating their quarantine, if they're visitors or not. You're forced to, now they're sitting there putting bills in order because they have nobody, because the workforce is down so much and there's no international travel like that. They're forcing people who get caught slipping to work the land for them.
Yeah.
So that's slave labor too, man.
That's what they push it. Go ahead, Doc.
It says, Ezekiel 7 verse 7, it
There's
says,
so many articles on it, man. There's so many articles on the bills that they want to pass to really control you people, man. They want you people to be chaotic out here, man. So it gives them a reason to bring the military force out here. Go ahead, Doc.
right, they think they're liberating themselves. This is Ezekiel 7 and 7. It says, the morning is come unto thee, O thou that dwellest in the land. The time is come, the day of trouble is near.
Right? The day of trouble is near, man. We're approaching these days of trouble, right? Little by little, they're happening, man. Like the scripture says, in the latter days, perilous times shall come. Perilous means what? Trouble. Go ahead, Doc.
It says, and not the sounding again of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Now will I shortly pour out my fury upon thee, and accomplish mine anger upon thee, and I will judge thee according to thy ways.
There you go. Now give me that 2nd Ezra 7 and 43.
God, this is 2nd Ezra 7 and 43. It says, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time.
Right, man. So the day of doom shall be the end of this time, man. So there's a lot of things that's taking place to show you that we're going to be in the times that's going to be of the day of doom, man. Let me get to 2nd Ezra 15 and 1.
2nd Ezra 15 verse 1 reads, Behold, speak down in the ears of my people the words of prophecy,
Right, going back to Jeremiah 28 and 8. Go ahead.
which I will put in thy mouth, saith Most High.
Like I mentioned before, man, that the Most High is using men out in the highways and byways to do what? To prophesy. Go ahead, Oscar.
Right. And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true.
And we're reading them, man. These words are written in what? Paper. Go ahead.
Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee.
Right, so we know people are going to come up against us. We know people are going to come up and say, oh, these guys are, terrorists, or, they could be conspiracy theorists and things like that. We know this because the scriptures tell us, man. So we know the future. Go ahead.
I got the definition of the word incredulity.
Go ahead.
On Google, the brothers from LA was breaking that word down earlier today, and it says the state of being unwilling or unable to believe something. So when it mentions incredulity, it says if you run it back real quick.
Go ahead. Turn on top again. Fear not the imagination against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee.
Right. So their unbelief, don't let their unbelief or trouble you, because it's more that don't believe than that do believe. But guess what? The scriptures tell you don't follow a multitude to do evil. You're not supposed to follow. And the scriptures also say, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. Okay?
Go ahead.
Come, that speak against thee. Right. All the unfaithful shall die in
It says
unfaithfulness.
what? That speak against thee, man. Are they not doing that? Right? You got dudes setting themselves up, after that whole rioting shit happened. And now they saying what? Black Hebrew Israelites are part of involved with that nonsense, man.
If I could say it real quick, I don't know if brother saw, but they had there was a picture going around where you had the Black Hebrew Israelites with the clubs, and it shows you I think it's all set up, you know what I mean? Because these, who the fuck fights with clubs anymore, you know what I mean? This is, these people got guns, and it shows you the state, of the people, man. That's why the scriptures tell you that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, man. It's not carnal what we do. It's not carnal what we believe in. The Most High is going to fight for us, man, for His servants. Lord willing, we be a part of His service. Lord willing, we be part of that remnant. Lord willing, we be part of that elected one-third.
Look up that scripture. It says wisdom is better than a weapon. Go ahead.
I'll take this recently. It's Isaiah 65:11. It says, But ye are they that forsake the Lord Yahweh, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that troop, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number. This is 12. It says, Therefore I would number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. So the things to come, right? The things to come are for the 2/3 in the wicked, man. This is 13. It says, Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. So it's really, if you're in His word, right, you're doing this thing, preaching the truth, preaching His word in truth and sincerity, and you forsaken your ways of this world, right, and tried your best to get right while you had that grace spirit, right, and you're a servant of the Most High, you're going to have protection in the time to come. It says, Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. That ye is talking about the wicked, man. It says,